Tracy Kroop. Oh, sorry. Down is forward.
Thank you, everybody. Since I talked about details, can I just acknowledge that I'm glad we know we look at it? Okay. I'm a research-driven user experience designer in group and graphic design. So this is the context in which my talk is framed. When we talk about user experience design and understanding your audience, we focus on the roles in which people operate, the general goals that the organization has, as well as the general objectives that they're all trying to achieve. And this is a great place to start, but we keep the discussion at that high level, and it's got to go deeper. UX design should not be genericized. The details matter, particularly when we're talking about making technology personal. Because users aren't a monolithic entity. We're not designing for users as a single block. We're individuals, and we have different needs, and we have different abilities, and we have different objectives. And if I need to get into more, because the details matter, I'm going to point out, and this detail. I'm going to point out the apple mouse, which needs to be flipped over and disabled turtle to be charged. And I would much rather use a wired mouse temporarily than be temporarily without. When we learn English reading and writing, we talk about ABC. So that's the framework that I'm putting this in. And it's more than mine, where the fundamental details of UX design are A, for anticipating needs, B, for barrier-free design, and C, for clarity. And the irony, then, of the talk about details is that I'm going to be presenting each of these topics at a summary level. So it's a half-hour talk. What my goal is to do here is to expose you to these topics if you aren't already aware of them, pique your interest, and then I have some resources that you can use for further follow-up. So A is for anticipating needs. And the device that I think is most effective here is the microinteraction. So these not a microinteraction. Microinteractions are hyper-specific moments within action. They have one job. Don Norman describes microinteractions as those critical details that make the difference between a friendly experience and traumatic anxiety. And Cookie never really knew how to anticipate your needs. Do you want to write better? Do you want help? Do you need touch it, grab it? Do you want me to get it out of your way? Yes, please go away. Dan Stafford literally wrote a book on microinteractions, and here's how he breaks it down. They have 4 different stages. There's the trigger, which is that initial action. That can be a manual thing or system-driven. You have the rules, which is the logic determining what can and should happen. The feedback is the response, what do I do next? And then you have loops and moves. These are the meta rules. Loops are the way that your microinteraction will adapt over time, including things like frequency, duration, pace. Modes are the different states. So how do I use them? This is where it's really critical to understand your users and everything about them. The more you know about your users, the more you know when they need guidance and how to deliver that guidance. And if you really know them, you start answering what they need or they realize. Use what's already on the screen. Instead of adding another element, think about how your scroll bar, your cursor, a button, all these states and things can change. Let's look at a couple of examples that use microinteraction as well. Here's where I'm going to apologize to the audience in Bulgaria. This is 4 1/3 developers. I know they are two very different countries. But I was trying to be personal here in an example from Google Translate. But you can repeatedly click or select or play that in Google Translate and get the audio. Google had anticipated how people might be comprehending the language, and they built in a state where you can enable them to speak. You click the audio once, and the entry is set to. You click it a second time, and it slows down. I don't know if everyone in the back is able to hear it, but the first pace was a little more rapid, kind of like this, and then when you click it, slows down so that you can hear the breakdown of the syllable. I work at a company called Dell Boomi. We are a product development company designing integration software for enterprise architects. There's a lot of copying and pasting of URLs, tokens, and other data streams. And yes, you can put your cursor into an input field and click to highlight and drag it across the input field and manually copy it, manually paste it. It's tedious. And it also potentially sets you up for error. So we have a pattern where there's a single extra copy. The full data string gets carried over to where you paste it. So this simplifies the task and it prevents error. That said, is a really basic application that has a nice microinteraction. When you do a save as, or you do save a copy, it jumps out of its parent screen with the title field that's already highlighted so that you can change the title of your new file. It's highlighted, ready for you to create a team. And it maintains that contract, that association of save as. And it eliminates the ambiguity of wondering, am I saving as something or am I saving over what I've already done? And this microinteraction is an example of how you can use playful management. Microinteractions make technology personal because the feedback is like conversation. People respond better to systems that provide cues and prompts, and ultimately you need someone with the understanding that you get me. The attention to detail makes the person feel understood. B is for barrier-free experiences. And this segment will be about accessibility. There's a product designer named Cindy Lee. She's from Sort A, and she was quoted as saying, we're all just temporarily able. And so we need to think about not just who the people are that are interacting with our information, but the ways in which we need to receive that information. So that's content accessibility guidelines for VCHD is really the authority on this topic and has organized the principles of accessibility in these 4 ways. It needs to be perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. Perceivable, I'm going to focus more on the design responsibilities for these principles. I'll try to touch on some others, but due to my background, the angle that I have. Perceivable includes making sure that your information has strong contrast. In the example that Gmail provides above, you can see that there is strong color contrast, bigger brown. You understand where the links are and the buttons because of the way in which they're represented. And on the bottom, anybody who's envisioned a photo tool, love the tool. But here's how I know that their designers are really young with incredible eyesight. Everything is so cool. I don't even know if it's enabled. I can barely see it on my screen. I'm not sure if it's something that I have access to yet. It's also important to make sure that you're relying on more than color alone. In these 2 examples, the do and don't material design, also from Google. at left, here's what you should do. When you are trying to communicate something, you need, you're indisputable, of course, but you need to provide alternate ways. And so here, in correcting an error, there's a label that lets you know that you've exceeded the maximum characters. And at right, it's just the color alone, so people aren't going to understand. If they can't see the color, they're not going to understand what's holding them back from doing what they want to do. Perceivable is also about adaptive delivery. This includes a lot. Alt text for your images, and be descriptive. Don't just say dog on lawn, but describe the dog. What's the breed, but let a person create that image in their mind. Also avoid sensory descriptions. Oxford words like select over click. And in videos, make sure that you've got captions for videos. And this is actually one of the series from Microsoft and their inclusive design. And they do a really good job of providing audio descriptions of visual aids. I was watching one clip where a woman was dancing, and so you had her narration of her experiences, and then you had another narrator who was saying, well, just people were not sure dance, just survive again, and they go to the next part. So, you know, try to consider how you describe these events to other people who don't have this. Things you see operable. This is where keyboard accessibility is really key. Sorry, keyboard accessibility is really critical. Some people can't use them out, and other people prefer not to. Enable that you have keyboard accessibility. Do not hide content until you're hovering over that state. A better option is to receive that content so that it's identifiable, and then when you hover over it, it can become more common. And typically, I hate carousels, because this is a good example of delivering information with adjustable timing. So with a carousel, you can see that it automatically advances, or you can use your count, you can use your keyboard to advance the things to your class. Avoid flashing and blinking content. I would say that it's just a good idea always. I've never understood the purpose of blink tag, but more importantly, and there's a semantic difference between blink and flash. Flashing content can trigger seizures in people, so this is obviously no joke. Moving on to the control and understandability. I'll address this in a little more detail in the next section, but simple language is easier to read. Here's an example from the Jargon. Avoid acronyms, avoid abbreviations, keep language simple. And here you've got a series of acronyms. And while I argue that if you are looking in the sports section, you understand the NBA acronym in the headline, but look at how it's being used in navigation too. Why aren't we pointing out that it's basketball and hockey, and football and baseball? Why is it the acronyms of the organizations that they represent? Being understandable also focuses on predictable navigation. There is a reason why the decades of the web has been our source of information, that the navigation structure hasn't changed too dramatically. And in these three examples, developer tools and social media and email applications, even though it's delivering very different content, it's structured in a very similar manner. You have your main topics across the top, you've got additional options down the left side. This is not in place to be tricky and clever. Navigation is there so people can find their way. It's also our responsibility to help users avoid incorrect mistakes. This is a mailchimp example of password set. And I think it's a good one because there are a lot of requirements to developing a strong password. And I've actually skipped a step in what's shown here. So the example with the black text, the one special character, that's how all the requirements have previously been listed, and then as you meet those requirements, the checklist basically receives into the background. And then once you have met all those requirements, you have an explicit notification that your password is secure, you're ready to go. And the principle of being robust. This is largely dependent on the code. And so clean code, compliant with the web content, accessibility guidelines, compatible with various agents, including assistive technology, and this is an example of someone using speech to text. And so accessibility is all about being inclusive. And in addition to knowing who users are, understand that each of us requires different way to access information. As Kevin mentioned, we're basically designing for our future selves, so we don't have to rely on it's not an exit, it's just on your phone. And finally, C is for clarity. This is an introduction to plain language. Your goal is to inform your audience, not to confuse them. This is the section that really should be self-evident. It's so easy to overlook the basic principles. And this is an example of what not to do. There's no affirmative action here in the error message. If you exit the course, this is an HR compliance module. If you exit the course, it will no longer be available. Sorry, you will no longer be able to view your current feedback. Continue. I expect yes or no, or continue or exit, not options of exit. The plain language is clear, efficient communication. It's all about using natural language, short sentences, avoiding jargon, acronyms, abbreviations, using an active voice to eliminate ambiguity, and understanding imagery, content, and when it's best to use that vehicle to relay information. Yes, I'm editing those there. Clarity is short and simple. Avoid redundancy. Don't be overly restrictive. Avoid jargon, slang, acronyms, and abbreviations. As we enter the tunnel on I-95 headed towards Baltimore, I hope you know whether or not you have hazmat and what it is. It's hazardous material. Use an active voice for clarity, again, to erase any ambiguity. This is sort of a counterpoint to the earlier error message that I showed, where it's very clear what's happening here. Did you intend to attach the files because you said attached, so there are no attachments? This also helps you understand that I made a mistake or did the system. Which one of us has to do something differently? And know when to use images instead of text. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Sometimes that is the most immediate way to reach your audience. So, summary, your audience is students. Treat them that way. As I mentioned, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Sometimes that's the clearest way to reach your audience. Paying attention to all of these details demonstrates whether or not you really understand your users. Again, striving the iconic designer. So that the details are not the details, they make the design. Details also make technology personal. They enhance the way people interact with the product. And the next couple of slides feature resources for you to follow up, as called ad investigation. I'll figure out a way to share these slides with you and access to them. And thank you very much for your questions and for your questions.
Just repeat it when she's done.
I can't hear her.
You were talking about therapy and you were talking about messaging. Are there any best practices that you can keep in mind for call to action? How do they work call to action is that call to action, but should it be continued? Should it be canceled? Should it be yes? Should it be no? How do you do?
That's a really good question. It's hard to generalize, but much in the same way you saw some examples where the options that you were provided didn't quite answer the question you were being asked. That's generally the best way. So instead of okay and cancel, what are you okay? Instead of okay, you might want to proceed. Instead of okay, you might want to submit. Generally speaking, those are the best ways to label it out.
Other questions? I have a microphone. This is your chance. Nope.
All right. Thank you very much. Tracy.